It had been a couple of weeks since Diesel's attitude had improved. He continued to do his work swimmingly, with haste and hustle. The Fat Controller was impressed, but kept his distance, in case he thought this was just an act. Other engines felt the same, but the big engines still had their suspicion. Especially James.
Him and his calmness, it's uncanny. There's something brewing with him, I know it. It's happened before and it's bound to happen again. Wouldn't you agree, Gordon?
It's Diesel, what you expect.
Those Diesels, they just never learn. No offense, Bear.
Sure, said Bear.
And the Fat Controller still keeps it, Henry proclaimed.
And I do say, I personally think we should go to the old times. Until he leaves, we go on strike.
Gordon, it's not that bad,
said Henry. Personally, I thought that you would have moved on from primitive constructs, retorted Bear. Besides, have you seen how much work he's been doing in the yard? You have to admire how much he gets done within that short period of time, and how much time he saves with other trains. Bear. A shunter's job is a primitive construct. It's in the name, shunt the trucks. It's nothing to think about, so he's right where he belongs. What about the express? Other than strength, you just need to pull the coaches across the island. Strength, speed, and efficiency, mind you, declared the defensive Gordon. I need to keep to my timetable, and if the express doesn't run, the island doesn't run. The passenger service, yes, we still have lots of goods, however, but to you, again, it's nothing to think about. So I guess you are right. It's not like everyone else has their own duties. Also, the express gang, come on, child's play that is. Bear took to his berth and closed his eyes to sleep.
You'll see,
said James.
It'll happen again.
Yeah, said Gordon, subsided now. But Henry was left contemplating. When the next day came, Diesel was exhausted and deep in his sleep. He had been working hard preparing the trains for the engines. This included Henry's heavy goods, Bear's Limited, and Gordon's Express. He had been back and forth, going over points, double, even triple checking the trucks, being careful with the coaches, anything in his power to make the trains as ready and efficient as possible. And when Henry arrived for his assignment, he was left in astonishment at how neat and set everything was.
My goodness, some work you've done, Diesel,
Henry confided, but he said it to himself. James had arrived at the yards. As much work as Diesel had put in, he was so focused on the other trains that he hadn't had time to prepare James's train of vans. And James was not happy about that.
Why am I not surprised?
He muttered.
No!
Oh. Good morning, James. He groaned.
Where's my train?
Declared James indignantly. Your train? Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, I was preoccupied and I had forgotten about it.
Forgotten? It's not much for you to remember. It's not even that special of a job for you or me. I've got dirty vans to pull, which I don't even want to pull in the first place, and now I have to deal with Mr. Greasy Gears.
I'm sorry. If you just give me a little time...
Why didn't you have it done already? And still the Fat Controller has you stay here. You diesels just can't be trusted, can you? You're built for this one job and you can't even do it. What a shame. You know, you're even worse than a shutter. You won't even be passed, just left.
Diesel remained calm. Well, if you were to just give me some time, I will put your train together. See? Here comes my driver now. Morning, boys. Nothing like having a 3-hour nap and calling it sleep. That makes both of us.
Hello? Hello? It didn't faze any of you last night that I had a train delivered this morning. Blimey, and to think that you weren't just some old greasy tea kettle.
Good grief, surely you don't mean that.
Oh, see, I do, driver. Because if I didn't, I would have said far worse things.
Is it that time of the month for you? Oh, of course, what am I saying? It obviously is. I guess that's what you get for being Reds. Diesel stifled his laughter. James's steam pressure shot up.
Right. And I guess that's what you get for working with him, yeah? You're just the same. Gross and miserable.
Now it was Diesel's turn to talk now. Oi! How dare you talk to my driver like that, you rusty red scrap iron? I'm sorry that I had to use that term, but I will not have my driver be disrespected. Are you sorry? Gordon said. Because frankly, I don't think you would have used such an old insult. So you haven't changed.
What are you doing here?
I tried doing the strike, but the Fat Controller said I wouldn't be doing it. As punishment, he said that I will shunt the coaches myself, but I take it that Diesel here hasn't learned from his previous mistake. If you were to easily use your eyes, you would see that I already shunted your coaches over there. It's ready for you regardless. I will gladly shunt your trains, but do not treat me as a means. You aren't the Fat Controller. He was the one who punished you, and he punished me.
Yeah, he did punish you, and now he ought to have you sent away,
asserted James. Diesel seethed and spluttered to a start. Now, even though he didn't want to admit it, Gordon was left thinking. And Bear had seen and heard everything.
That Diesel, I was delayed by 10 minutes to take a train I didn't even want to because he decided to just be exactly who he is. And to think the Fat Controller, I seen change in him. All those Diesels, I swear. And I bet there's even worse if he's keen over on the mainland. Again, no offence, no.
Don't you dare with the no offence. You keep saying that to me and act as if that's exactly what I need to feel when you talk about Diesels, or those Diesels, as you put it. If you want to label me, I might advise that you keep it to yourself. I don't think... No, look who I'm talking to. It's clear that you can't think of anyone but yourself.
Neither does he. Gordon, you saw it, right? Heard it even.
I did.
See? More than one of us saw what he said.
Did he also see that you started it?
I didn't start anything. It was his job to stunt the train for me, and he didn't do it. For you.
For you? I'm sorry, since when is Diesel your slave? Not even your slave, a slave. It's his job to shunt trains for us, but it is not something that is controlled by you.
I expect him to have my train ready by the time I get to the yard. That's his job there, and he can't even do that. Even worse is the fact that his behaviour is just passed off onto his driver.
James, that was a mere jest.
Jest? That was bloody sardonic, that was. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a part in framing Duck. He made us turn against him.
No. You were the ones who turned on Duck first. You three turned on him out of sheer pomposity. You didn't think to ask him. You didn't think. You never think. And also, have you given Diesel a chance to explain himself?
No. But how can I? He just vindicates himself over the course of a few weeks for all that he's done over years.
And yet you still want to be skeptical. If you want to continue this prejudice of yours...
All right, that's enough. Bear, I wouldn't get ahead of myself if I were you. I understand your complaints, but to say that this is out of prejudice is quite absurd. Yeah, that's right. Oh, shut up, James. Bear is right about the majority of what he has said, however. You did start that bicker with Diesel. I was there. You had no right to disparage him like that. I have a feeling that all that work he might have done the night before must have exhausted him.
It is nice that everything can be ready for us in the yard, but we need to put credit where credit is due. Though I wouldn't call it prejudice, it is intolerance nonetheless. Looking at how you've acted compared to the Fat Controller regarding Diesel, I say we give him the benefit of the doubt and not hold contempt to him till Kingdom Come. Albeit, I honestly will need time to see if I can trust him. But, Gordon... James, this is all you. He shunted my train, and if you think his driver had a part in Doc's framing, then why wouldn't he have been reprimanded? Such people even worked on the island. Oh, I don't know. Your arguments made me tired. All right, boy. Let's get to work, said Diesel's driver, barely on the verge of waking up. That won't be necessary, said a familiar voice. It was the Fat Controller. Good morning, sir. It's come to my knowledge that you and your engine, need a break. The driver was worried. Sir, if this is about James and being delayed, Joe Fretch, it's your reward. Henrich will admit everything. About James, him starting the argument, and most importantly, your work ethic. As punishment for him, I've given him a 2-week sentence of shunting. Oh, thank goodness. So, how is your situation with... how do I put this? With the little Ty? Oh, yes. We were actually able to adopt him yesterday, our little Sydney. He's quite the mummy's boy. She thinks he's lovely. Well, good for you, driver. Good for you. However, I'm here to talk about Diesel. Please take no offense to this, but I can't trust him entirely. Well, please acknowledge that we are not surprised. And can I be frank with you, sir? Yes, please do. For him, I'm the only person he can trust. And he doesn't trust you. At the very least, he doesn't know how to trust you. Bear rolled into the yards to find a tired Diesel relaxing. He wanted to have a chat with the engine. Good morning, he said with a gentle smile. Hello. What are you doing here? Last night, us engines at the sheds, we got into a rather large argument about you. I realized that they never let you have your own voice in the argument. Can you blame them? Really, can you? Well, you did horrible things to them, and I can't change that. I can't change what I did. That's the worst thing. Once you do something as horrible as that, you can't change it. It's physically impossible, and it sticks with you. The arrogance, selfishness, callousness, and insecurity. How could I be forgiven when after Fergus was almost scrapped? Well, it won't be immediate. I know that. I know it won't be, but how long will it take? What if they don't forgive me? And I just get sent back to the mainland and it's like I never even existed. I was never part of this island. Who can I trust? You can trust me. Really? Sure, just as a start.
Where's Bear?
Ugh, who cares? Groaned a weary James.
I've had too much trucks to shan't even think about anything else. Oh, it's beneath me.
Actually, the Fat Controller had come to the sheds. We're meant to meet him at the arch. That's me, Gordon, James, and Henry by his request. What does Bear want with us? I don't know, but he said it was important. Dire if we didn't go.
Dire? I don't think dire is the appropriate term. Why should something on a Sunday be considered dire?
The engines soon found out. It wasn't only the three big engines. There were Thomas, Percy, Duck, and Fergus waiting in anticipation. Thank you all for coming, Bear announced. May I ask why you called us all here? And why us specifically? I came all the way here from Kildare. This better be good. Diesel was in the middle of it all. The feeling of all the eyes piercing through him and a knot in his engine made him feel suffocated. Well? I've been wanting to say this recently. I know many of you are not fond of me. I know I have done horrible things to all of you. Isn't that the truth? Let him speak. It isn't a surprise that I'm disdainful in your eyes. That I'm disgraceful,
Disgusting. Despicable.
of course. But please, listen to what I have to say now. I'm sorry. To Percy, I'm sorry for causing trouble at the harbour and sinking the clay. To Thomas, I'm sorry for causing trouble on your branch line. It's actually quite wonderful. To Gordon and James, I'm sorry for losing my temper and also having the trucks say those nasty remarks to you. That also applies to you, Henry, and I'm sorry for the rumour I told about you after Duck left. To Fergus, you are a very useful engine and you didn't deserve to go to the scrapyard. To Duck, it's hard for me to say this, but I'm sorry for framing you when I came here. It was all out of conceit, arrogance, and just a lack of conscience. I didn't bring humility, and it nearly cost you your life on this island. But I think I owe you, sir, the biggest apology. I'm sorry for treating your engines as a means just to show off. I realize it was not to display my work ethic, but rather just my selfishness. I never thought about you and your island. I thought about my place on the island, and that alone. I never thought about you. Please, sir. Please let me be a part of your railway. Please let me show that I'm useful. Please, sir. I'm begging you. Let me be a part of your island. I don't want to go back on the mainland, sir. Please.
I forgive you,
said a voice finally. It was Percy.
It might be a shock, but I haven't been given much of your torment like the rest. And if this is what you'll bring from now on, however, I think it's best you stay.
Yeah, and considering you really feel for being a part of our island, I can't help but care about your feelings. And how can I pass a compliment to my branch line?
We live and learn, Diesel. I'm glad that you have, and I'm glad that you are. And besides, those square wheels is quite the laugh now. I'm surprised you were even able to think of that. And the work you've been doing recently has been staggering. Sincerely.